Okay, so today involves a little bit of art history as well as sort of a walk-through practice project. Um, our goal today is to do what's called a composite, where we take several photographs from different photos, we cut out what we want, and we assemble it together as if it has always been that way, so it feels natural. Our inspiration is going to be the artist René Magritte. He was a Belgian artist, and he did what's called surreal art from the 1940s to the end of the 1960s. He created illusions that were illogical, couldn't really happen. This picture here is called The Son of Man. And he did this about 3 years before he died in 1964. And it's probably one of his more popular paintings that people kind of spoof, make fun of in popular culture. He was always known for wearing a black suit, a business suit. And he always wore his signature item when he went out was a bowler hat. And so in a lot of his images, he'll utilize this style of a man dressed in a suit, black bowler hat, oftentimes a different kind of colored tie. But this time he's floating an absurd, Granny Smith apple in front of this man's face. So this idea of levitation is kind of the surreal thing. The question is, why does this man have an apple in front of his head? Well, we don't really know. But it's something that's illogical and could never really happen. But it's painted very realistically. So the sur part of the term surrealistic, sur means not. And then you have realist, which means real. So things that are not real. Even the photograph of himself here in front of another one of his paintings has the man's face completely gone, right? You got the suit, you got the hat, but where's the head? So illogical kind of things were happening with a lot of his artwork. That's surrealist style. So our inspiration is we're going to recreate Son of Man with pictures that I have gathered throughout the internet. So we're going to cut and splice and make our own version. All right. So as usual, we open up Photoshop. Only the difference this time is that we are going to create our own document. We've not done that before. So we need a document that we can put all of our images into and have a final image. So we're going to click on Create New. And this is similar to what we would see at school in Illustrator. Up at the top there, we're going to go ahead and title it. And as usual, we normally use our last name, right? So I'm going to put Martin. And then we're going to put surreal, okay? S-U-R-R-E-A-L for our title. Our size, I'm going to tap, and we're going to want to have it to be vertical. So we want to go with 8 by 10 inches. And again, make sure you're on inches, not pixels, centimeters, or points, or anything else, okay? Set the resolution. The resolution probably says 300 or something for you. Set this to 150. Now, let's talk resolution. Dots per inch. So the only way to kind of measure the quality of a photo is how many dots of colors you have within a measurable inch. And the higher the number, the better the quality, because that means there's a lot more dots inside of that 1 inch area. Most pictures from the internet are very low quality. There's only maybe 72 dots within an inch area on the screen. And that means that the photo will load faster on the internet, because everybody wants something fast on the internet. And so they tend to lower the quality of the photos. The photos might be big, but they're low quality, so that they load fast. So somewhere between 72 and 100-ish are lucky spots on what you might find on the internet. Rarely you might find a 300 dots per inch kind of a thing, but not often. So when I put composites together, I sort of just take 300, which is the ultimate of 300 dots per inch. That creates a lot of high quality, a lot more color and vividness in there. But what I try to do is kind of splice it in half. Oops. So let me say we're going to do 150 dots per inch because we're bringing pictures in from lots of different venues. And this gives everybody a chance to kind of live happily together. We want the contents of the background to be white and leave RGB. Remember, RGB is the screen creation. This isn't something that we're going to print, right? So we don't need to have CMYK. We want this to look good on the screen because it will remain on the screen view. Now we hit create, and here's our vertical. All right. So the next thing that we need to do is we need to start to choose and pull from our files a picture one at a time that we want to work with. The first thing that we want to work with is the background. We're going to work back to front, all right? So you can see in the background there's some sky, there's some ocean and sea down there. So we're going to bring in the ocean picture that should be already, I uploaded and gave everybody their own versions of all these. So you should have all of these in your classroom folder, right? And so we're going to go to the little picture icon. Check that out. So if we want to bring a picture in, we click on the picture icon, and you can take a picture or something and bring it in. You could bring it in from your photos on your iPad or your phone or whatever you might have this app on. If you had saved something in Creative Cloud online, there's different ways people have done that. But we've done from files before. Now, I had one or two people where their files weren't working very well. You can always go to Google Drive, the app, and you can click on the object, the three little dots, and tell that photo to download and save to your photo camera roll. So if it's not opening by files, you can send it to your camera roll, and then you would get it from photos instead. I'm going to get mine from files because mine are coming in there. So this is my classroom folder, and I have all of my photos that are in here. Here's my ocean, so I'm going to tap on the ocean and take in. Now, something that was happening on my iPad yesterday and a little bit today, and if it happens to you, don't freak, was after I placed the photo and hit done, sometimes my Photoshop would just like close out. And then when I came back in and tapped it again, it showed up fine and it stayed. Kind of kooky. I sent them a little note that said that was happening on my iPad, so don't freak. Sometimes the second time around when you open it, it'll be there for you. All right, so the first thing we need to do for this is we need to enlarge this so that it's big enough to cover the whole 8x10 space because it's a horizontal picture. It doesn't make any difference what part you want to keep or not keep, but I'm going to use my move tool, and I'm going to move him up kind of high over here, and then I'm going to use the transform tool because we want to be able to drag this and make this bigger. See what I did? So I moved it up to the top left so I could then kind of drag and bring things down. It doesn't make any difference what kind of sea image you want to have down there, or if you want the rough waters or not, because some of it's going to get covered up by our man and some other things. So I just want to make sure we see sky and we see ocean. Okay, now moving on. We have officially brought him in. And now you can see over here, that was brought in, and anytime you bring a picture in, it will be on its own layer. Okay, so we still have the background layer, and then we have the layer that we just brought in, right? Okay. So now I need to bring in the stone wall. All right, so come back over here, opening from my files. There's my flat stone wall. And obviously from this point of view, we need to remove some stuff that we don't need, right? Okay. So this stone wall is going to move down here somewhere. I'm going to reduce that just a smidge. It's going to live down here, but I also need to make it be a little bit bigger. And it's kind of crooked. Can you see how it's going downhill a little bit? So I want to make that a little bit straighter. But right now, I need to work primarily on getting rid of this junk that I don't need. So here's how we're going to do it. I'm going to just use the Lasso Tool. I find it a little bit easier to draw with the Lasso Tool sometimes when I need something specific. So I'm going to come in here and I'm going to come across the outline of this, come down, and now I'm going to meander slowly with my finger. You can use an Apple pencil if you got one of those. I'm just dragging out way on the end. And there I pretty much have what I want, okay? Now, easy cheesy, I can hit the word erase down here at the bottom. Erase, look at there, it's all gone. Hit deselect, okay? And now I've got a little bit over here, I've noticed, see I've got a straggler there, I've got some stragglers there, okay? Now I'm going to zoom in and I'm going to use my erase tool. So right below the brush is the erase tool. This is your how much pressure you want, if you want it to be see-through or not. This is where you can kind of ghost some edges, it's kind of nice. But I want to 100% remove some of this junk. I want a hard brush. I don't want a fuzzy brush because I'm going right up against the hard edge of this stone. So I don't need to be big. And then I'm going to come along here. I don't know. Let's see. I might use just a little bit of a bigger brush. Okay. Now I'm going to come in here and I'm going to delete any of that dark junk that I don't need. Let's see. Come back over here. I got some more over here. Okay, coming over here, take out some of that stuff. They'll never know that's gone. All right, and then I had some straggler stuff. Let me click on my move tool so I can bring that over. There we go, look at all that junk. All right, still deleting there. Okay, done. Now, I need to enlarge this and kind of turn it because it's a little cockeyed, right? So let me first go into the transform tool. And whenever you try to enlarge something, always drag it from its corner. A diagonal drag will keep it in proportion. If you pull from right or left, see how it distorts it? Okay, you can always hit undo. But for enlargements, always pull from the diagonal. And this is even on a desktop too. I'm now going to use this little guy down here to kind of tilt this and see if I can find something that looks a little bit more horizontal. Click done. Now I'm going to kind of move it in position there. That looks pretty good. Okay. And you can choose, you know, how much of one end or versus the other end that you want to see. I'll leave it up to you, but we'll kind of put it down there. So we cover the bottom. All right. Moving on. All right. Now we're on to the dude, the man. All right. So let's bring this guy in. Back to photo, back to file. Copy of man in the black suit. There he is. All right. So check this guy out here. I'm going to click done. Brought him in. All right. Move tool, move him over. Now, the majority of the background of him is white. He's photographed on a black outfit on a white background. That means the kind of selection tool that might be best for this would be the quick selection, the one in the middle. Remember, it chooses things by the similarities of the colors of pixels. So it would be sort of the fastest removal for us, okay? Now, I'm going to come in here, and let me show you a little gimmick here. I'm going to come along, and I'm going to go around. Joe Blow over here. Come around. And then we want to come up through the middle there. Now, double check, make sure you got all the areas that you need. There's some tiny areas I'm going to show you later. Okay. So now we want to hit erase, right? Bink. Now most of that, 99% of it is gone. We will hit deselect. And I can see already there's a little haze. You see a haze of white that's around him right now. Okay. So here's what we're going to need to do. One is I'm seeing white on his hands. There's some in between his arms over here and over here, and obviously there's some around the legs and different parts that we can kind of see. I don't have to worry too far down on his legs because we're going to kind of enlarge him and crop him off a bit. But I want it gone from his hands, right? So that's where I'm going to come in here, and I'm going to do a little bit of our erasing again. I'm going to bring the brush down a lot smaller so I can get into this area a little bit more precise, right? And then I can kind of come along the edges here and grab anything that's still there. That's essence of white. We've got white coming down here along the pants leg area. I'm going to get rid of some of that because just below where his hand is hanging, we're going to kind of zoom the body. Whoops, I didn't mean to do that. We're going to zoom the body in a little bit so we can get to that. I'm going to zoom in on him here. Let me pinch. Come on, buddy. Pinch zoom. Let's see. There we go. Getting in closer there. I'm going to make this back to my little guy here. I'm going to go down super tiny if I can. And I'm going to kind of see if I can. There it is. See a little bit of the sky back behind him. I've erased that. Okay. Move tool. Let's see up around his head. We got a few little areas here. I will come in around his ear. Get a little bit more around his neck. There's some around the shirt area. Let's see. Oh, we got this other hole over here in his other arm. So we're nice and small for that. See, there's some of the blue coming through there, coming in there. Oh, look at along the side of his jacket over here. Okay, I'll enlarge along the edge of the jacket here so I can get along there. Oops, took part of the jacket. Sorry about that, dude. All right, try and watch how much I do that. Close in. Okay, coming along here. Let's redo that. That was sloppy, Miss Martin. Okay. Might have gone a little excessive on my there we go. That's what I wanted. Got a little excessive on my size of my eraser brush there. All right. All right, so we have a good amount of him cleaned up that we need. And again, I don't need much beyond where his hand is, but I do need to make him a little larger. So I'm going to enlarge. Whoa, that's stretched. Let's undo that. Come on, buddy. Diagonal, pull from the side. Why are we not pulling from the side? Oh, there we go. There we go. Now I'm going to move. Oh, I didn't mean to make a copy. I'm going to move him down here. Get my picture going. Okay. Now let's enlarge him a little better. There we go. Gonna move him down. Because I don't want much. If you look at the original photo that I sent you, you can even have it open in the gallery if you need to go back and see it, kind of a thing. But his hands and stuff are really low to the bottom of the page. We still need room at the top for a hat. So I'm not going to go too much bigger. Let's do this. Okay, and I'm going to click done. So he has been trimmed out, cut out, and chopped off at the legs. Okay, on to the next phase. Okay, so now we need to do something to the man's tie. All right, in the original photograph, the man's tie, wearing the bolo or whatever, is red. So we need to select the tie so that we can change him and adapt him later on. Okay, so I'm going to go in and use the quick selection tool. Going to come up here And it should, there we go, fairly quickly capture a lot of the black tie for us. I'm going to try and edge a little bit there. All right, and we can always clean up a little bit of the spillover with the paintbrush tool and stuff. I'll show you that here in a little bit if we need to clean up. So right now, the tie is selected, and we've done adjustment layers in our previous lesson. So I'm going to come up here to the Layer Properties icon, all right, and I'm going to click on the Add Clipped Adjustment, and we're going to go to Hue and Saturation. And we're going to hit Colorize. Looky there. So his tie turns this crazy color. Well, we want to go for red. Okay. This is more of a warm red. This is more of a, this is a warm red. The other one was a cool red. I'm going to hit Saturation here. And I would even suggest, since the tie is black, changing the color of something that is very dark or like black, you need to kind of lighten it a little bit because it's absorbing so much of the color, okay? So to make it feel like it truly is a red tie, I mean, don't go into like, you know, neon and pastels and stuff, but this is dark. Let's lighten it just a little bit, okay? So we're gonna back it off a little bit, and then I'm okay with that. So I'm gonna click that Layers Property icon to make it go away. All right, now when I zoom in, okay, I can see that some of the areas spilled over. And so what this little square is up here on Hue and Saturation layer, the square that's highlighted in blue is what we call a mask. You see the little white area, that's our tie. That's what we left exposed so it could be changed to red. But everything outside of that is black because we were keeping the red from hitting those areas. So in the areas where I have spilled over, I'm going to use the paintbrush. And what we want to do is mask out with black what oozed over. So see in this top area up here, this area oozed over into red, and it really should just be the shadow of the shirt that's up there, okay? There's a little bit of spillage here at the top that should be a shadow. And if anywhere along your journey on your tie, you might see an area that kind of got a little carried away or ran out or anything, you could always paint black to mask out where the red overflowed. For example, I could do this and it goes back to a black tie. Crazy, okay? Now, we are officially done with him and his tie. Add the guy's hat. We need to go get our bowler hat. Copy bowler. Okay, done. All right, let's move it on up here. And we need to get rid of all this background junk. So there's too many different colored pixels going on. So I'm just gonna come in here and I'm gonna you can either do quick selection or I'm gonna control it just a little bit more. And I'm gonna go with the Lasso Tool right now for me. I'm gonna come in here and get as much as I can neatly of this guy's hat. And I can always clean up any excess that I might wiggle beyond later. Okay, so I have selected the hat, and now what I want to do is go down to the invert in our activity bar at the bottom, and now everything else has been selected. See that? Okay, so I'm going to hit the word erase, and it erases everything else that was selected. Deselect, and now I'm going to fit this to his head a little bit better. I need to tilt the hat so it's sitting a little bit more squarely on his head. We will bring this down a little bit closer to him. Oh, looky there, I got some white stuff I gotta get rid of, right? So I'm gonna put it just over there. And that means then I also need to clean this up. So I'm gonna zoom in, see that white area over there? I'm gonna clean up a little bit of my edges here. And as I clean up the white, look at that, it's kind of exposing his hair. So I need to go to the layer with the man on it, and I need to get rid of the hair that's peeking out of the side, right? Okay, back to the hat layer. I might smooth out some of these. Let's see what we got here. There was a little bit of a rough selection along there. I'm going to kind of smooth some of that out if I can. I'm going to come along over here. Got some really dark stuff. That's going to show his eyebrow a little bit better. Okay, so details really help us feel the naturalness of it, right? Okay. Now, we move on. Now, our last thing is to kind of bring in, to finish his face and all, is the apple. So I'm coming over here to photos, gonna tap on the Granny Smith apple, pop it in there. Oh my goodness, it's wearing a tie. Why would it be doing that? Well, any layer that is below hue and saturation over here, see, hue and saturation is above the apple, the man, okay? Because we wanted that tie to be affected on the man, it also affects any layer that's underneath of that adjustment. So we need to move this apple up and out of the way so the apple doesn't have a permanent tie on it. So I'm going to move this guy, I'm going to move him above the hat, okay? Now we're back to what we've done before. We're going to come in here with our quick selection tool. I want to get rid of this majority of the white background here. All right, looky there. There's a little bit in there, my apple it's trying to take. That's also white. And now I'm going to come down to the bottom where it says erase, and we get rid of that background. And I deselect. All right, now it looks kind of rough. This is where you set yourself apart for a grade, is the details. So this is like a sloppy scissor cut, right? So I need to come along here and I need to use my eraser tool to clean up the rough extracted edges, as if I used a really bad pair of scissors or tried cutting with my opposite non-dominant hand. So I'm going to come in here, and these are the things that I'm looking for as far as quality of your work, is how much care did you take in the extraction of your information, okay, of your objects. So I want to come in here and clean some of this up. And again, you can always use the back arrow if you end up taking too much off. All right, so I'm coming in here, getting rid of some of those rough white pixels, because the quick selection does the majority of the work. You know, it does about 90+% of it. But then you have to take care of tweaking the details, right? Okay, so I'm going to come up here along the top of the apple. There's some white areas by his face we need to get rid of along here. And again, the size of your brush is going to help you with that. Okay, so that is definitely far cleaner than it was before, okay? It's also a lot bigger than we need. So let us go in and use our transform tool so we can transform this apple to more of the size we need. Now, when I look back at the original photo, we do see a portion of the sides of the man's face. The apple is over the top of his eyes, but we can still see a little bit of his actual, let's see if I can get this to move around here. We can still see the actual bits of his face. Let me see, I'm going to transform this again. Oops. Done. I'm going to come up here. I lost the apple. It went up to a different layer. All right. Transform the apple a smidge. Just see if I can bring him open. There we go. Get him just a hair bigger here. All right. And put that in front of his face. All right. Now, one last feature. We're going to put a frame around this and then we'll be done, okay? Because every good work of art, especially a gallery art, needs a frame on it. So we're going to bring the frame in. The gold frame is already set and ready to go for you. Isn't that nice of Miss Barton to do that? Look, it even has a nice little shadow on the inside of it. All right. And now you are done. We have our version, and then we have the original version of our guy, okay? And we've kind of updated that version, right? All right. So back to here. Reminders, how to save, okay? We're gonna go to the up arrow and you hit publish and export, and we wanna export it as a JPEG. And then that is high quality, right? We always want the highest quality on that. And then you hit export, and then you tell it to go to your Google Classroom Drive on your Google. So I'm gonna go to Google Drive. There we go. SDX Tigers, pardon me. We're gonna select the folder. You gotta choose my classroom folder. There it is. Classroom, save here. And I have this is another option if you've already forgotten how to put your name and stuff on it. Last name, Surreal, and click upload. And now it will be in your Google Drive, ready for you, export complete, to actually submit it. Ta-da!